is expanding, but that's about all I will do. So we're checking out how healthy BTC is looking, where we're at, what our potential, most recent bottom is, where's our most recent resistance, where's our most recent support. Right, so we're just going to look for a price range. We see our local tops, right? And we see our local bottoms, right? Some people like to use these candle wicks. I personally like to use candle closes, right? So this would be my actual price range for BTC. So ideally, we're looking for a rebound on BTC. And that's just in my opinion. We see that on the RSI that it can be considered oversold at the moment on the 4-hour. You won't ever see me looking at a chart on the 15 or 30 minute. If you're looking at volume and RSI, or EMA, a lot of people like to use exponential moving average. If you're looking at it at the 15 minute, you're a scalper. Please don't try to keep a position open for more than a few hours if you're doing that. And now we're going to apply this to Sol USDC, right? With Sol USDC, what I'm looking for in a delta neutral position is I'm looking for my 7-day low, and I'm looking for my 7-day high. That's all I'm doing here. With that, I can see I am going to be using the candle wicks at the bottom here because I still want to be collecting fees in a delta neutral position. I don't want to be hit with too much IL because I'm just trying to collect fees in a range. That's all. With a delta neutral position, I see that our Monday low was 220. Our current high for the week is 244.8. So we're going to be doing a delta neutral position here. I want it to be as close to 0.5 as I possibly can. And we're going to be just typing in those numbers. So I want this to go to 245, and I want this to go to 220. Right? So 6% to the upside, 4.5% to the downside. I'm not going to be doing 5x leverage. This is a delta neutral position, so I really don't care too much about how much leverage I'm doing. I just want to get a consistent 1-2% for my 24-hour TVL. That's kind of my goal with leverage. I really try to stick between 3.5 and 2.5. As you can see, even with my full long position, I'm only at 3% leverage. The reason I want that is I have a very low lick price, and I have a good stop loss here. Reset this. So this is always going to be a battle of what do you want your 24-hour yield to be? So we might just make this at the tops of those ranges to kind of increase our yield a little bit. Levi, does it matter if I use Sol or USDC for my collateral? Because you set your borrow ratio, it does not matter if you're using Sol or USDC for your collateral. The only issue with that is that if you're only providing Sol, which I do in my cases, but that's because I'm bullish on Sol in my own personal belief, is that as your Sol value goes down, your collateral goes down. So even if you have a short position, because you have a short position and you're only borrowing USDC, it doesn't matter in that case, right? But if you're doing a delta neutral position, you're going to get hit with IL, obviously, on the fact that you're borrowing and on the fact that you hold Sol, right? So that's kind of the only reason to use either USDC or Sol. Is it really just depends on if you believe the asset is going to be appreciating or not. And if you believe it's not going to be appreciating, you're going to be borrowing the other anyways. So With that, we now have a delta neutral position. We're at 1.83%. I can create this position. I can see all my information here. It's delta neutral, 3x leverage, my position price ranges, my liquidation prices. Do I have any limit orders currently on this order? What's the protocol fee? What's the refundable fee? And then my position size. So we can start this. Great. And this is great. There we go. Just didn't want to... I had just cleared all of my connections on this, which I recommend that people do weekly, if not daily. And does it not want to give me? There we go. And now we made a 5 sol position that we can reasonably expect to be making 1.7% over the next 24 hours on that. You can now see this is our current position. It is $1,150. With our leverage, it is pretty much $3,500. We are already collecting a yield on it, and it has our liquidation price ranges. We now get into limit orders. Limit orders are going to be very useful in any position, obviously. Limit orders on DeFiTuna do take I believe it's a 0.05% of the transaction. So it's really only useful, in my opinion, for full longs or full shorts that you expect to be making more than your transaction, right? It's great as a stop loss. There's always a cost with a stop loss. So I normally only set one of these, right? Because I really only do full longs or full shorts. But with this, we're just going to set the limits as the range of our price range for our position. There's pretty much no cost associated with setting your limits. And so now we have our lower limit and our upper limit, which will help protect us if Sol is taking a nasty downturn or an uptrend, because this is a delta neutral position. So we won't be hit with too much IL to either side. As you can see, it's going to default to, on the downside, it's going to take out this position as Sol USDC. And on the upside, it's going to be taking out this position as Sol, because statistically speaking, it's either going to be appreciating or it's going to be depreciating, and you want to stable up. So that's now the explanation of how to set up positions in DeFiTuna. You can see that there are plenty of pools to choose from on this. They're adding new pools pretty much once a week, if not once every other week. The pools that I've been really enjoying are Sol USDC, Sol JLP, right? So with this, you can get a pretty stable range and still get a pretty good 24-hour TVL. And then Jup Sol has been one of my other favorites. Once again, super stable to be trading. Right? And some nice, just stable farming. With that, but this is great for if you're super bullish on ETH, you can be doing Sol ETH or Sol USDC or ETH USDC. They now have CBTC, which they just added. They also have Bonk and Trump, and they plan on to be adding more as they go along. We're now going to get into another side of things where if you have a lot of stable coins or a lot of a asset that you're bullish on, which is lending just in general, right? So lending for perpetual programs, whether you're doing it on Jupiter, DeFiTuna, or anywhere else, is a great way to be leveraging your assets that you believe are going to be appreciating in price over time. Obviously, I hope everyone has heard the saying here, one soul will always equal one soul. It doesn't matter if it's $280 or $20. If you are stacking the coin that you were bullish on, then that is what you should be doing. With that, you can be seeing what our typical APY is when we are now lending. Lending works very simply that you can stake or unstake is the word we will use on this one from a lending pool at any time. Froby, yeah, that's great. You know, if you want to go to sleep and you just want to make some passive money, just go stake it, right? You're not going to be making much. Maybe you're making 0.2, 0.3% APR overnight, but it's better than nothing. With that, though, if you are stabled up right now and you want to be making 15 to 30% APY, you can lend it, right? Same with Jupiter. Jupiter offers lending, right? That you can be collecting quite a bit on. Most of your large dexes will offer staking and lending. Besides that, I think at this point we can start opening up for questions. If people want to put them in the kitchen chat, or if they want to speak out, I'm here to answer any questions.
A quick question, was this recorded?
Yes, this is recorded.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, I love your charting. You provide some good weekly updates to BTC healthiness for me.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. So Levi, your risk associated with lending is, and they have some complex paperwork for you that you can read. With lending programs, DeFiTuna, just with any other big program like this, is going to be working with a liquidator program. And so essentially what that is me as the borrower is second priority to the person supplying the original liquidity, right? With that, working with a liquidator that is reputable and consistent and performs when it needs to, such as when Sol crashed and Sol shut down for over an hour, is the best thing you can have. Because essentially what can kill a platform like this is what's called having bad debt on the books. This is also the case with any lending platform or if you want to take out a mortgage, they're in the same position, right? Bad debt is good for is terrible for every single financial institution. In Web3, it is probably the most important because it is what separates someone from using a program versus not using a program. If there's no TVL for me to borrow from, then I can't borrow, then you're not going to have people trading on your platform and you're not going to be having people lend on your platform. So lending on the platform, your risk associated with it is that the liquidator during a time of uncertainty or congestion doesn't work and essentially then doesn't collect the necessary collateral to repay you when that position is closed, right? The Solana failure was a really, really good example of the reputation that I believe DeFiTuna will be associated with in the coming months, where even though Orca and Radium and Jup were showing 3 different prices, because this is based on an Orca price, their liquidator, the second that Solana was back online, was busy liquidating positions, my position included, right? And so that the risk associated with lending is very low in my opinion, especially on this site. Obviously, do your own due diligence, read their white paper, read their documentation, but it's a very good use of your money, in my opinion. So I hope that